is a national emergency. Our work here will ensure a peace mankind has never seen. The world will remember this day.
What's happening, people? We're back. Lamont and James on our double feature Sunday. We just saw Oppenheimer, and oh my. For a 3-hour movie, it was a whole lot less to say about this movie than Barbie, but it was way more impactful, gonna get a better rating for sure. And we'll go ahead and dive on in. Brother James, Robert Downey Jr. in this movie, is he gonna be a hot Oscar nominee as a, what do they call it, secondary actor or backup actor or whatever the second term is?
You know, when you've seen him in all the other things he's been in, this was sensational. To look at him, when you think about him as Iron Man, he was a completely different character, looked completely different in this. Mm-hmm. No, he knocked it out of the park.
Yeah.
He's going to be one of the top 2 up there.
Right. Ladies and gentlemen, this was written and directed by Christopher Nolan. They spent $100 million to get this thing done.
Well spent.
Distributed by Universal Pictures. And when I tell you some of the sounds, it really felt like you were sitting there when they blew up this bomb, and the visuals was just immaculate. And for this to be a period piece during World War II, when General Leslie Groves appointed Oppenheimer to lead up the team to get this bomb done called the Manhattan Project, they really put you in that period. And so having said those things, James, what did you like about the movie? What didn't you like? Talk to me, my brother.
This movie is a commitment. If you're going to watch it, it is up there with something like Shawshank Redemption or Godfather, where you need to set aside your day to see it and you need to think about it. And that leads into, I feel like I need to see it a second time to better understand everything that was going on and who each character was. Mm-hmm. And I don't have it in me right now to say I can see it a second time. Not for the emotional reason, but because there was so much happening and so much to take in that I don't know when I'm going to see it again, but I also feel like to understand it fully, I would have to. There's just that many characters doing that many different things.
It's heavy, ladies and gentlemen. When you go in here for this movie, you have to come with a clear mind. You don't have to per se have a history, an understanding of what went on during the World War era, but it would help. And I'm going to just go ahead and tell you, Cillian Murphy, who plays J. Oppenheimer, knocked it out the park. Outstanding acting from everybody. And dude, to be a cool scientist, he was getting panty draws. Florence Pugh, some of my MCU people know her, she was Jane Tulloch. She was his lifetime jump off when he eventually married Emily Blunt's character, Kitty Oppenheimer, and they tried to use those things to manipulate him. But ultimately, in the end, ladies and gentlemen, the true person trying to manipulate everybody was Robert Downey Jr. character.
Isn't it always?
Louis Strauss, who was real deep into the politics. And they clearly showed you the divide between the political leaders, the military, and the people that they use for their bidding.
And they did do a great job of that.
They did.
I don't have a lot of complaints about this movie. And if you gave me forever, I'd come up with a bunch. But overall, I liked this movie. It was good enough that it overcame some of the obvious flaws. The most distracting one, and I think you picked up on this too, the most distracting flaw in this movie is sometimes the background music almost completely drowned out the stars of the movie. Like
their dialogue.
Yeah, you couldn't hear what people were saying and the background music was appropriate.
Right.
It was just loud and would drown out what was being said during some very important scenes.
Right. That, ladies and gentlemen, that's my biggest gripe. Oftentimes where you're trying to concentrate on what they're saying. Now, mind you, a lot of the people in this have accents because we had people from Russia, we had people from Europe, we had people from all over the place that was in this movie as it portrays what happened in history. You're already having to fight understanding what they're saying via the dialogue, and then on top of that, the loudness of the audio music drowns out their voice. That would be one of my subtle complaints about this thing, because you have to, this is a dialogue heavy movie, and to fully understand what's going on, you got to understand what they're talking about. as the plot unveils. So that would be one of my drawbacks as well.
In a movie about Oppenheimer, I get why they had to do this. This wasn't the story of the bomb. It was the story of the man in charge of creating the bomb.
Right, right.
You feel like the climax to a movie about Oppenheimer should be the bomb. That comes at about just a little past the halfway point that we get the bomb.
Right.
So know that the climax of the movie is not the bomb or the explosion. And that kind of that threw me off, because I just assumed going into it that was going to be the climax. It's a movie about Oppenheimer. We're waiting for the bomb. The bomb comes, and there's still about a little over an hour left of the movie.
Definitely.
And that also feeds into it's framed as a flashback within a flashback for the first hour and a half, 2 hours.
The whole movie, honestly.
Yeah, and I mean, it was hard to... It took me a while to pick up on that's what we're seeing, and then to figure out, all right, which time is it supposed to be present? No, it's never present like today, but present to the people in the movie. What's the first flashback from those present people, and what's the second flashback from them? And that's a hell of a framing device to use.
What they tried to do to help people that might go see it is they put some parts in color, which was present time.
Yeah.
Then they put some parts in black and white, which was past time. But the one framing that went on from the beginning to the end, Oppenheimer is offered a job by Robert Downey Jr.'s character. And it seems like these two are going to be the best of friends. And when he's offered that job at the college, he gets to meet Albert Einstein, which he already knew anyway, speaking of Oppenheimer. They framed that from then at the very beginning. And then you come to find out that it was framed at the very end. You'll see those two go back to that same sequence that happened in the beginning, because there's going to be a question Oppenheimer asks Albert Einstein that Einstein says, that is not for me to answer, that is for you to answer.
And, you know, they did frame that part pretty well, where at first you thought that it was going to be animosity between Oppenheimer and Einstein, and that's absolutely not what happened. Spoiler, by the way.
Right.
That's not what happened, but they frame it that way at the beginning of the movie, and then at the end when you hear what's really said and you realize, oh, that's not the situation.
Right, right.
And that was done well.
It was done very well. And they gave Florence Pugh some breast exposure, fellas, for you guys that want to see that. Her character was one that she acted tough, and she was a quote-unquote communist, because they do play the politics very well in this movie. They play the politics so well that you see how one man in politics can ruin your life if they don't like you for anything. They play the politics where if one man knows you slept with a particular woman, they'll ruin your life.
Yeah.
They play the politics very well and gives you a light insight into what probably really happens behind closed doors. And so, having said all those things, ladies and gentlemen, everything else I would say about this movie was good, other than it was 3 hours. That's pretty long. I'm going to say it doesn't have a up and down roller coaster that they always talk in writing school you should have. But when you're doing a period piece, historical document like this, I don't per se feel like you need to have that. And I would just say go into this thing knowing that you might have to go use the bathroom once or twice, so try to clean your bladder as best you can prior. And now we'll get on with the ranking. So, James, give me a score. How would you rank this movie? Go through the acting, go through the entertainment value, historical value, impact. And I'm assuming you're going to rank this better than Barbie, even though Barbie's probably going to make more money.
Easily. All right. Let me start off with something I didn't realize till minutes ago.
Okay.
The budget for Oppenheimer was $100 million.
Yep.
The budget for Barbie was $145 million.
Yes.
Oppenheimer used that $100 million really, really well.
Very well. And it lasted longer.
If you had told me the budget was twice that, I would have believed it without hesitation.
Right, right.
So let me give them high praise there. Acting, again, I have no real complaints. Nobody was distractingly great or awful. Robert Downey Jr. knocked out of the park.
Chris Murphy, Cillian Murphy, excuse me.
He was
played
spectacular.
Oppenheimer. Florence Pugh was spectacular as well.
Yeah. Brought her A game. So that was fine. It was a volume issue with the background music, but otherwise background music always fit. I'm gonna be honest. This is one of the better movies I've ever seen that I can't imagine watching again all the way through in one sitting.
Right.
So, was it entertaining? You don't go there to laugh or enjoy yourself. Nobody's going to sit down and be like, let's all sit around and watch Oppenheimer and laugh ourselves silly. Nothing like that. It was entertaining in that it accomplished what you wanted. It brought out emotions. It made you feel things, you know, whether you were frustrated, angry, anything like that. It did that. I am going to give it a very labored 9 out of 10.
Damn.
There were flaws, but I thought it was good enough that it overcame those flaws. Not a perfect movie, but it is a movie where if somebody wasn't sure if they wanted to see it, I would encourage them to see it once.
Mm-hmm.
I would definitely encourage anybody to see it once, even if they were, on the fence about it. But it's 8 out of 10 might be more appropriate. I'm going as high as 9 out of 10. There were enough things that they did really, really well.
I'm going 8 out of 10.
All right.
I originally said 7, but I'm going to go 8. The biggest drawback for me was you have got to turn down that background music so that we can really understand the dialogue. And this is definitely the kind of movie you're going to want to see twice because you might have missed some dialogue that was pertinent in the moment of the movie. But overall, because me and James both are into history, we're both into politics, we understand kind of the historical precedents, we get it. And for that, anyone who's into those things, I would say you definitely need to go see this movie. I would encourage everybody to go see it. But there's an age group of people that are not going to want to go see this thing.
No.
But this was a phenomenal movie. Everything done visually was spectacular. The sound was good, other than sometimes you drowned out the actors' dialogue. The actors was A+. The ambiance, the surrounding things, the tricks in the movie were all A+. And for that, I have got to give it a 8 out of 10. Great, great, great movie. Any closing words, James, as we try to get out of here and get back to our families?
Worth it, but almost not, just in the terms of the length.
Yeah.
But don't wait to see it at home. It's definitely a go see it in movie theater. I think it's going to be more enjoyable in the movie theater.
Definitely. Having said that, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget to like the video, comment, subscribe, get that life game, follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and the TikTok. You probably won't see me and James doing another review till Blue Beetle, something like that, but we'll be back.
Yep.
And by that time, I'll be done had my first son, and that'll be my last child.
Congratulations.
Boy. Thank you, man. And until that next Sex is Hell video, we're out of here.